Hey everyone, so from the sounds of it, Global will finally be getting Tina, the fourth protagonist. I guess technically fifth if you include Dios, but I try to forget about him. Anyways, Tina is probably going to be the most capable protagonist that you have received up until now. She is actually decently strong. Now, she's obviously fallen off a lot in Japan because she has not received a Kaigen yet. However, she is a capable unit, and I will be going through her kit today. So she does not have a Kaigen, so we don't need to worry about that. If I had to choose a Nenso to put on her, I'd probably use the Lyle Nenso, because its base stats are Dex, and it gives her a vision ability she can use in the map. But if you wanted some extra HP, you could use the Nina Nenso too for extra speed on the base stats and 258 HP. It's not a bad idea. Anyways, for her gear, you guys won't have this yet, but when you do get this and you have a bow unit, this is the bow you use. Literally, most units that have weapon abilities with certain unit specific weapons will use this bow instead, because this bow is absolutely nuts good. So it has 50 attack, 50 dex, 15 jewel gain, and 10 missile modifier. So this is basically like the best stats you can get on a bow plus a camera from the Final Fantasy event. This bow is absolutely insane. If you don't have access to the bow, then basically you just kind of have to make do with what you got. I don't have any other bows because I don't have any other bows that were worth getting. So I would use either a bow or maybe a combination of the Vita Ring and the crit pendant. Because I do believe her skills can crit, although don't quote me on that because I didn't bother to check before I started. This is just kind of me going off memory. So this bow pretty much has everything you could ever want in the world except speed. As for her armor, regen armor will do the trick. You can use whatever armor you'd like as long as it gives HP. Tina is very squishy. She has like she has the Bowman squish without the Kaigen counter to that squish. Nowadays, a lot of the archers are a little bit tougher because Kaigen has given them the extra HP they need to survive more than like 1 or 2 hits. Unfortunately, Tina does not have that, and she does not reach super high HP values. As for the last piece of gear, I find it very difficult to fill this gear slot when I'm using this bow, because the bow gives you so much of everything. Like, all you need left is speed, so whether that's the crit pendant, or maybe if you don't want speed, you want a little more survivability, the Teddy. Like, it's not super important what you put on this slot. I suggest having speed, but even if you don't have speed, remember that archers don't always have to move, so their turn can come a little bit quicker if they don't. Saint Meteor is always a great option. You've heard me talk about Saint Meteor in probably every video I've done, because Saint Meteor can slot into almost any unit build. There really isn't much else to say about her gear here. I'll go ahead and throw the crit pendant on her for fun. As for her loadout, she's going to basically be running the entirety of her unique. Just run the entire thing. Honestly, her reactives are so bad that it doesn't really matter which one you use. You can either use the archer reactive or her normal reactive. They're both awful. She has a +2 range skill, and she has an accuracy and missile modifier passive. So let's go ahead and hop into the map and see what she can do. Tina is also probably one of my favorite design characters, especially among the main characters. She just looks, her outfit just looks really nice. Like, it's not like completely overdone, but it's still kind of intricate. I really enjoy it. So let's go ahead and hop into the map here. One thing to note is some of Tina's skills have extra damage to amorphous enemies, which will be a new enemy type that is introduced in the next chapter. I am going to be running with a Neferti leader skill, which gives 30% attack and 50% HP, and 20% Thunder Exploit. Your Tina is probably not going to do as much damage as my Tina, and that's because I'm running A, a better leader skill, and B, a better weapon. But the kit itself will remain the same. One of the reasons I wanted to show this off is because even with the 50% leader skill, Tina's only getting like 2.8k HP. It's pretty rough. She's relatively squishy, and I actually had a lot of difficulty at the end of Chapter 4 clearing on auto, because the end of Chapter 4, they have a bunch of high-end enemy units that do a bunch of AoEs, and Tina would keep getting caught in some of the AoEs. It was ugly. It really was. So I'm just charging up Jules right now so I can show off her entire kit. So yeah, I'm gonna have to make a move here. Maybe I can show off her reactive. I guess not. Alright. So, let's start with her kit now. So, she does have a unique kit. It's not a normal archer kit. So, for her first attack, we have this attack, and it doesn't do a ton of damage, but it does extra damage to monsters. Which is actually, sorry, this is extra damage to amorphous enemies, my bad. This will be good against some of the enemy types you'll see in Chapter 4, but it's not going to be good much else outside of it. For her second ability, she has her AoE attack, which is going to be doing more damage, obviously. Now, her next skill is a support skill, and this is actually a disabled debuff. So if, like, let's say you have like a speed down unit, you can use this and dispel it. And for her last attack, we have a archer attack with a charge time, and I'm sure especially a lot of the older players who played before the last major update when they changed the AI for archers probably fear running on auto with something like this. You probably still should, but if you are running on manual, the one thing to note is you have access to a targeting mechanism, so it's not like the old archer where you kind of just would press it and then pray that they didn't move. You can actually lock onto your target with this skill, which is nice. In her sub-kit, she has this skill, which hits even less damage, and this is actually one of the reasons Tina is good. And I will go into it in just a moment once I get through the rest of her kit. Now, for her next ability, she has this Aoe buff, and this is a range buff, and it gives you +1 range. It's not super helpful, but I guess if there might be a niche situation where you have a Tamamo on your map too, and you need to reach something. I don't know. Now, the next skill, I kind of look to see what this thing might do. It's not a pierce skill. It doesn't do as much damage. It doesn't even do 100% scaling. The actual skill itself maxes out at 95%. So aside from having the wind element and being able to hit maybe a little bit more damage on a thunder unit, I really have no idea what this skill is for. And for the last skill in her main kit, she has this small heal. It's not great, but it's something. The pre-Kaigen HP values makes this heal look a little bit better than it is. Now, she does have access to this 70% skill, and what this does is she can target an ally, and it'll give both her and that ally 100 evade for a turn. So the idea is most likely to get yourself and an ally through a turn without dying. Now remember, evasion is not perfect evade, so things like accuracy and combo attacks can bypass it. But let's say you have a unit on the front lines who looks like they're about to die. You could cast that skill and maybe get them through it and get them back before they die without losing your no death run. And here is the ability on the Nenso that I have her wearing, the Lyle Nenso. And as you can see, it's not like it's super powerful or anything, but like I've said before, and I'll say many times again, options are never a bad thing. So let's get into this attack I kind of brushed over here. So this attack does less damage than normal, but what it does is after she uses it, she now has 100 shot up, which is basically just a small charge up for her shot modifier, and that is going to increase her damage by quite a bit. So she's hitting almost 4k now on this Thunder unit, and well, after seeing a lot of my videos, you're probably thinking, wow, only 4k? Well, remember that she is a 2-job protagonist without a job plus and without Kaigen. So Tina's doing the best she can. You gotta give her a little bit of a break here. We're still kind of wondering when she's gonna get her job plus, or if they will even give her a job plus. I've mentioned it before, but all of the main characters have a job 3 announced for them in Chapter 6, which we are expecting relatively soon in Japan. Chapter 5 wrapped up a little bit ago, and Chapter 6 is next, so hopefully they don't wait until the end of Chapter 6 to give her her Kaigen. That would end her job 3. That would be a little disappointing. Tina is one of my favorite characters in the game, and I would really love to see her to be good again. Back when I started in Japan, she was still relatively decent. She was decent enough I actually fielded her in some of my win teams. So, if you want the breakdown and the TLDR on Tina, she's a decent unit. She's not going to blow you away, but I do think she is one of the most capable main characters we've gotten to date. Her kit actually kind of makes sense, and it's not just like a rehash of a Dark Cavalier or Holy Cavalier kit. Dios and Logi will probably perform a little bit better because of their job plus, but as far as the actual usefulness on the map, I think Tina is better than those two, because Logi and Dios still have their own issues of both are incredibly slow, and Dios being incredibly squishy because he doesn't have Kaigen yet. So definitely enjoy it. The beginning of Chapter 4 is pretty easy, and unfortunately I can't really give you much detail on the story because it was kind of hard for me to understand what was happening. But it will take place in Saga, and there will be a certain pink witch involved, and the end is a little convoluted, but I'm not going to get into that. So that's all I have to say on Tina. If you have any other questions about her or anything else, go ahead and leave them in the comments section, and I will try to get back to you. Thanks for watching as always, and I hope to see you next time.